So let's get started with the first talk. So I try to, in that talk, I try to explain the history of group chat, broadcast messaging in XMPP, and explain what are the available options to send messages to multiple users and what you can do with all the features that are available in XMPP for that. So actually, this is the timeline, the story of XMPP. It was called Ejabberd at that time. It started in 1999, and it started with one-to-one chat, and then it matured and were added a lot of new features for broadcasting messages and then for mobile, and I will go over all of this. So at the beginning, Ejabberd was created just to replace ICQ. It was the goal. At that time, there were ICQ and Microsoft were launching its platform. You had AOL, and the guys that made the design for Ejabberd decided that you need an open alternative to those closed platforms. So they decided to build such a tool, and originally it was just a contact list and way to send messages to your contact. It was just a way. At that time, you were mostly on dial-up connection, so you were not online all the time, and it was a very nice way to know where your friend were online and start chatting with them. So it was when you started your connection, you were able to join, see them online, see the presence. So that's why the presence was the core of the protocol. See them online and make sure that you could chat with them when they were online. And the only way to send multiple messages was to send multiple times the same messages. So you were having so this is XMPP. So you have this is the XML that you're sending on the wire, and you send a message. Basically, you send to which contact you want to send the message. You have a body of the message. You send that, and you can send several of them, and then that was the only way to send multiple messages. So you had implementation-dependent way to broadcast message for user. Send announcements saying server is going for reboot now, but this was very rudimentary. And then I think 2002 was a huge year for XMPP. While I was preparing this talk, I went through a lot of the XMPP extensions that had been written, and I say, most of them started in 2002. So at that time there were very active guys that had a lot of ideas and started a lot of development and new protocol for XMPP. I think at that time it was still called Ejabberd, but for the sake of consistency, I call XMPP all the time. So, and in early 2002, they put together a specification called extended standard addressing. And what is extended standard addressing about is a way to send a single message to multiple users, like in email. So, as you see, this is basically that mimic the header of the email, and you can have several other addresses sending us for a single message, and the server is doing the final broadcast. So you're sending once, and the server broadcasts all the messages. We will get into more detail later on. In late 2002. They decided that it was important to be able to compete with the grandfather of chat platform, which was IRC. So they put together something which is called multi-user chat, and which is basically a way to do group chat. So you have the concept of chat room, and you see here is a multi-user chat message. And as you see, the two here is not a user, it's a chat .shakespeare.leets. This is coming from the specification. They're talking to a chat room called Coven in the chat, multi-user chat service. So the message coming from the user are going to the chat room, and the chat room is broadcasting the message to the occupant of the chat room. So that's the principle. So as compared to the previous specification, you're not targeting specific user. You're targeting a chat room, and then the server knows which occupant it should send the message to. We will also get into more detail later. And then, at the end of 2002, it was also the beginning of PubSub. And PubSub is actually it's one of the several iterations that were made at this time and explored at this time to broadcast events to user. And there was even I discovered that there was even a previous specification which was called Ejabberd events, and which was serving the same purpose. They wanted a way to broadcast internal information about the state of the server to some users and let user register for that state. And they iterated and they came up with finally with PubSub. And as you see, so this is channel oriented, meaning you have nodes, which are PubSub nodes, you have subscriber, you have publisher, and the publisher publish to the node, and the node broadcasts to the subscriber. So the publisher doesn't know to which user will be broadcasting, a bit like the chat room use case, but there is no presence, and the subscription are persistent. So it means that when you disconnect and reconnect, you still subscribed as a default. In the case of group chat, you're an occupant for the time of your session. If you leave, you're not an occupant anymore, and you have to rejoin later on. So this is the principle. And as you see, well, this is a bit more verbose. So you had a way to send a message in the chat room, and here you have the standardized taking the full page. So the content is here. So this is kind of Atom RSS thing that is published when for example, a blog post is published. You have that thing that could be broadcasted to tell the subscribers that a new blog post had been posted. But as you see, even if you remove the item itself, it's still more verbal. You have to target. You have the PubSub published stuff item. You can publish several items in the same publication and so on. So PubSub is a bit more complex. It's a bit more advanced, and that's why we will have a special presentation and talk on that topic. And it was also, as I said, it was also the year Ejabberd was started. Yesterday it was the 13th birthday of Ejabberd, so we were trendy at the time, and we started at the time where XMPP was really a very hot topic, as you see.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Then, from 2002 to 2005, there was many refinement of those specifications. So you see, if you see the changelog, you see that they are constantly evolving. And in 2005, two new, one major new things was introduced, which was PEP, which is Personal Event Protocol. And PEP is a way to make implicit subscription. So I guess at that time they thought that not a lot of clients support PubSub. The standard client that you can download and install and use for chatting with your friend were not supporting client. So they thought about a way to make PubSub more useful in a general case, and they put together something which is called Personal Eventing Protocol, which is a way to let your contact, to have your contact implicitly subscribe to your personal events. So XMPP is about broadcasting presence. When you connect, the first thing you do is you send your presence to your contact and to your server, and this is broadcasted to your contacts. When you use PEP, Personal Event Protocol, you can publish extra richer information about your status. So you can publish things about your mood or your geolog. And this is broadcasted to your contact implicitly that support the feature. So that support the PEP specification, the PEP type of content you're broadcasting. So if your contact client support geolocation, they will receive your update on geolocation when you broadcast them. So that's the idea and the principle of PEP. And as you see here, the node is more a kind of generic node, and it's a type. So here I'm publishing the music I'm listening to, and this is typed by this namespace here, this type of node, which is the URL of the specification at that time. So this is yes, you have a fixed set of nodes that are used for each users and defined by the specification. And on top of PEP, they added several types. So I've shown the tune specification to public your the tune type of payload to broadcast what you're listening to, but you can broadcast your user location. This is also a way to broadcast and update your avatar. When you're changing avatar, you can let your contact know that it has been updated. You can publish your mood or even activities, what you're doing right now. Are you happy, sad, or anything? You can broadcast your nickname or change of nickname that you're commonly using in chat rooms, for example. So since that time, PubSub became a very central piece of XMPP. This is something which is very important and used as a building block for many specifications in the protocol. So this is really a major layer, and the XMPP Software Foundation is thinking about refining the PubSub protocol, the MUG protocol, to make it presenceless. I will dig a bit on that later. And they're thinking about using PubSub to as an infrastructure to do group chat as well. This is still an idea, so they did not went too far on that topic at the moment. But this is a nice example that shows why PubSub is so important in XMPP.
When you say it's implicit subscription, it means that you don't have to subscribe on the nodes, on the specific nodes, or it's just sent to
yes.
with a status you receive from your.
Yes, you don't have to subscribe. It's just the fact that you have been added to the roster contact list of the other user that implicitly made you a subscriber of the PEP broadcast.
I mean, you can have for example, but you can have more.
Yes,
it depends on the clients.
Yes, so you have client capabilities for that support. So if the client tells that it supports, it understands the tunes, for example, it will receive the tune broadcast. But you can add more. You can even add custom ones if you. Yes, you can add your own. Let the client expose the capabilities required to receive the notification, and it will work that way. Yeah, so it's very, very efficient and interesting. As you see here, so you told us you're working in a group chat, team communication, and so on. So you might know two major companies that have been putting the chat upside down. So WhatsApp is a symbol of the mobile chat, and Slack is a symbol of the corporate chat. This is two companies that managed to find a new approach and a good entry on the market for the chat. And they are the two symbols that make chat trendy, very trendy this way, and exploding. Chat is everywhere now. And as those companies shown the way to new usage of the chat, more specification has been added to the XMPP protocol. So you have so most of them are targeting mobiles. So message delivery receipt, this is for reliability of message delivery and acknowledgement of messages. You have stream management to be able to detect when some message has not been received on the wire and do resend or detect that some message may have been lost and need to be resend. You have message carbon that allow synchronization between your clients. Because in XMPP you can connect several times using several resources. So message carbon as our way to do kind of live synchronization of the state of the conversation. And of course, you have a new specification around push notification, which are now mandatory for mobile, because on mobile you cannot stay connected all the time. You could, and on Android before version 6, you can keep your client running, but it's even on Android it's more constrained now. So this is push notification is very major for the XMPP protocol, and many of the XEP were also addressed by process one with custom specification and improvement before they were even XEP. So this is a kind of this is how we help our customer, and we push the train forward around mobile support. So just to give a perspective, what I think will happen next, and this is something which is implied by the Slack success, the success of Slack, which is targeting the enterprise, and it's successful because it has a lot of integration with third-party platforms. So this is a central point and a central hub. And that's why I think the next step in XMPP is API and delegation with OAuth, meaning that a user should be able to delegate some of its right to third-party services. So that's why we developed OAuth mechanism that has been introduced in Ejabberd, and that's why we want to make it everywhere and let user delegate almost anything, like publish in a chat room. You want to delegate publishing in a chat room, you give a token to GitHub, for example, and GitHub can publish your commit in a given specific chat room. So we want to be very granular. We're not quite there yet, but this is something we will do incrementally. But I think this is the next big trend in XMPP. So sending message to many users, here are most of the use cases. You have mod add-ons, which is about broadcasting admin message to multiple users. You have Ejabberd API to send notification messages to users. This is especially important for Ejabberd SaaS, our software as a service platform, where you don't have access to the platform itself, so the shell, Unix shell, and so on, and you can use API to communicate with your own user and broadcast information to your own users. You have, I mentioned, extended standard addressing, sending a single message to multiple users, multi-user chat, and PubSub. So I will now try to, give you a bit more detail about each of the specifications so that you understand what they're about. So what is interesting in mod add-ons? I thought that generally we do this kind of talk because I think XMPP is really, really a big protocol and you have many extensions. And the main problem is letting developers know, letting users know about all the features that are available. So I will use that opportunity about mod add-ons to explain how it works, and it works based on another specification which is called ad hoc comments, and which allows clients to send comment to server and do stuff. So I will dive into that in the next slides. So with Mod Announce, this is a module that you can enable in your Ejabberd platform. You can broadcast messages either to your whole user base. So in that case, the message will be stored for offline delivery if the user is not online, or broadcasted live if he is online, or you can only target online user because your message maybe only matters for people that are online at the very moment. So telling them about, yes, infrastructure problem or anything. So this is the two-way to make it work. And basically, at the XMPP level, basically, you have a protocol, you can do discovery. You can discover a service that are available on the server. So you can you send a query to the server with disco info, and it means you send it to the server domain, which is localhost, and it means that I want to get your feature. What are your features available on the server? What are enabled and so on? And then that way you can propose, offer the client a way to display the right user interface to interact with them. So when I send this stanza, XMPP stanza, I will receive this, which is the result of the disco info. And among the features, you will see that you have one which is the Ejabberd protocol comments. So it means that the server supports ad hoc comments. Then you can disclose the items, which is a different, this is dash items this time, it was dash info previously, on the node command, and you can get the list of the commands that are enabled for that module. So you will see that among available commands, you have admin announce, with a name, send announcement to all online users. You have admin announce all, send announcement to all users. So you can use the name to render your user interface, and this is the idea of the command, basically. And then you can ask more info on the command itself. So you switch the node. It's not the command protocol, but it's the idea of the command itself, and you disco for info on it, and you get the information, more information on that command. So you have a category, a type of command, and so on. And finally, you can execute the commands. And to execute the command, you just send an IQ set with the tag command, and you target the node of your command with the action execute. And what you receive is command can take parameters. And as a user, you don't know at that very moment, you don't know yet what are the parameters to take into account and to ask the user to type in. So what you receive is a form. So there is an XMPP extension for that. And there is a form that basically, what is important is that you have a form title and you have fields. You have a text single field, which is the subject, and you have a text multi-field, which is the message body, and you can have a message, several lines in your body. So basically, with that information, what you can do is simply render a form like that. So you have a title, subject, message body. So this is what the Psy client is doing. So totally dynamically, it will render the form and let the user input the data on that form. So you fill that form, and then the client, when you press submit, the client will send the form with a text field filled out. So you have a text single subject, which has value hello, and there you have several values in your body, which are the lines of your message. It could have been Psy formatted like that, but it could have been a single value with a carriage return and so on. And you get a confirmation that this is it has been processed and broadcasted, and from the user perspective, they will all receive a message like that of type headline. So message can have several types: chat, headline, and so on. And yeah, that's it. And again, as it is type headline with a subject, the Psy client is rendering it that way. So you see that it's from the server, you have a subject, and you have the body of the message. So basically, that's it for modern announcements. And as you see, you have discovered at the same time a lot of the part of the XMPP protocol. You see that every piece of the XMPP protocol tend to build on each other. So next thing is about using Ejabberd API to send message broadcasts. So what I did not mention previously is that the broadcast is limited to admin users. So in your Ejabberd configuration, you will put ACL to limit who is able to perform the broadcast from the server. So in Ejabberd SaaS or Community Edition, Business Edition, we have many APIs available. For broadcasting, you have mainly two types of broadcast. A message to send a message to all connected users. You have a message payload and a rate. So you can send, if you have a very big platform, you can rate limit the rate of the outgoing messages to avoid that all the user came back to your platform or interact with your platform at the same time. So if you want to, say a new product is available and broadcast that to all online users, for example, you may want to limit the number of users that will be coming to your website at a given time. Or if you have millions of users, you want to spread that over the 2 next hour to not overload too much your server. So the rate is very important. And you can also pass a list of JIT, because as you see, you have no way to send a message to all the user base. Because especially in the context of Ejabberd SaaS, the user base may be an authentication module that is on the customer backend. So we don't, when we manage the platform, we don't have access to that user base. So what we do is, in that situation, this is even more flexible for our customer, is that we let the customer pass the list of JITs he wants to target directly. So it can decide to target a very narrow subset of the user base and do that broadcast, or pass several calls with block of JIT and have the broadcast be sent like that. So this is because we don't necessarily have access to the user base locally to perform the broadcast. So that's it for the API. Very, very simple and very, very efficient. The next.
You're talking of REST API.
Yes.
What do you mean?
So it's a HTTP-based API. So we open a set of commands. Even actually, in Ejabberd architecture, you have a way to expose commands that are available through XMPP, so the kind of ad hoc commands that I was mentioning, into various ways. So we expose them through command line, Unix command line, the same command, and the parameter are taken into account differently. And we expose them also through HTTP protocol, which can be a JSON type of parameters, and that's what is called REST. So you can format your command and pass that.
Line, XMPP or REST.
Or REST, yes, exactly. And
You also have XML RPC.
we have XML RPC, but it's less and less trendy. But that's one of the available options. And the thing is that what I was mentioning with OAuth is that if you enable authentication on those commands, you can use token to delegate the right to your other backend. You can have different token to delegate the right to leverage those APIs. So you can say, for example, one of your backend has the right to use monadons, but not the other one, because you want to be sure that only the backend that needs a feature will be able to use that to limit human mistakes. So that's the idea. So that's the idea behind delegation. Regarding extended standard addressing, so basically it's mimicking email. And it's mimicking the XMPP header that you use when sending an email to broadcast a message to several of your contacts. So you can have a main recipient. You can have people that are told they are in copy of your message, or you even have the BCC features to hide from other people that they have been receiving that message, and you have even some specific way to handle reply to or no reply, tell them that you don't expect a reply. And basically that's it. You have a message, you have addresses, to BCC, CC, and a message. And when and as you see, which is also very important, it's not obvious there, but you're sending that to a multicast service, which is you're not sending that to any user directly. You're sending to a multicast service, which is in charge of exploding that message and doing the right thing to deliver it to the right people. So you're exploding the message and making the broadcast on the server side through a multicast service. And the multicast service will just compose that, so we will remove the BCC part and all the stuff. And as you see, when you receive that message, the recipient knows who were the people included in the message. So they can reply. If I receive that message, I can reply to everyone, except the BCC part, because I'm not supposed to know about them, but I can reply to everyone. And actually, this is the protocol we used in a tool we made originally called TextOne for doing mobile group chat conversation. We wanted to have something very basic, and this is what we used. So we use that part as the key. We sort the address by alphabetical order, and this gives you the key of your conversation. And then you have a server conversation, and when you reply, you can reply to everyone at the same time, and you have group conversation in a very, very simple way. The only drawback is that you cannot add or remove someone without changing the conversation ID, because there is a different. The conversation ID is a list of recipients. So if you are adding someone, this is a new conversation basically. But this is something you can handle in your client and so on. So this is a very simple and nice way to do group chat, or kind of private group conversation very, very easily without having to leverage a lot of the difficult part in the multi-user chat protocol. So we're getting into the big case of the message broadcast, which is multi-user chat. And multi-user chat, as I said previously, started as IRC, Internet Relay Chat clone, basically. It was a way to discover rooms and based on your interest, basically, and chat with people with the same interest. So this is the first use case that and the reason why multi-user chat were created. And then people say, oh, it's nice for team collaboration. So let's use that for team collaboration. And then new features were introduced to make it suitable for team private chat room collaboration. Then this is the use case you have been using. This is online event. How to put? Let's put together a lot of users in the same chat room and manage an event around that. So you have a big star interview, and let's organize the chat around that big star. So that's the purpose of online event management. And then you have kind of, I call that placeholder for multi-user conversation. This is in part what I've shown with the case regarding with the text1 case in extended standard addressing. You want to do something where your MUC is your conversation ID, basically. It is private and so on. You can manage it as user without breaking the ID of the conversation. And this is what I call mobile chat. And I will show what we have in XMPP yet and what we propose to complete the missing part of the XMPP protocol on that regard. So I mentioned that it's like here's like community. You can discover the room. You can you can connect on client. Yes, you can join high traffic room. You can. The idea also between IRC is that you're not supposed, as opposed to private mobile conversation, you're supposed to read every messages. In IRC, you're not supposed to read every messages. You're chatting with the people that are there. When you leave, you don't care about what is being said, and you can always catch up with public log file of the chat room that are published on in HTML. So you don't really care about missing messages. And for that reason, you want to receive message only when you're online, available, and so on. They designed the protocol as a presence-based protocol. So sending a presence to a chat room is a way to join the chat room, to become an occupant of the chat room. And this is what I'm showing here. I send a presence to an airline conference localhost chat room, and I'm in. And my presence is broadcasted to other users with my status, affiliation, and so on. Who am I? Am I a moderator or not? And so on. But basically, all you have to do is just broadcast your presence, and you're in the chat room. And on the reverse, you can, at any time, you can leave the chat room, sending your presence unavailable, and then you leave the chat room. So where you're in the chat room, you receive messages. If you send unavailable, you stop receiving messages. So this is also convenient because you're not forced to always be in a chat room. If you're not always available to do this kind of chatting, and you can stay online for your contact in case of emergency and so on, but you're not forced to receive all the messages in the chat room itself.
So until when you go unavailable, once you go back again, you're not going to receive those messages while you will be.
No. So when you're unavailable, and not that you're unavailable also when you disconnect, because the server broadcasts unavailable for you. So as soon as you disconnect, you're not in the chat room anymore until you join again. So that's something which, and the reason why it's because it's IRC-like. Yeah. So that's the idea. And we will see solution for the problem you have with that later on. So after you join the room, you can send a message to the room. So basically, you send a message of type group chat, and you send it to the room, and the room is doing the job for you of broadcasting the message to all the occupants of the chat room. So you don't have to care, just send to the chat room, including yourself. So when you send a message to the chat room, you receive the message so that in your client, you can, if for some reason you don't have the right to post message to the chat room, you will see that in the client reflected. You will see that your message did not get through. And also, something which is very important is that, like anything in XMPP, group chat messages are extensible. So you can have a X for extension, you put a namespace which is your own, and you put extra data in that. You can do that in PubSub, you can do that in any type of messages. And that allows you to put content that your custom client may support and do stuff specifically based on that content. and other clients that do not support it will simply ignore. So this is something which is very important, and it's part of the success of XMPP, that because you can customize it without any custom development. I didn't do any custom development on the server to do that, but I can just add content from a client to another and do stuff based on that. And it's broadcasted to other client when you publish a message like that. Yep. As I said, the goal is ERC-like. You want to find people with the same interest as you. So the chat rooms are discoverable. So you can, if you remember, this is the exact same mechanism that we have seen previously. You can query a conference service, MOOC service, multi-user chat service, and query it for its items, Disco items, and it will return a list of publicly listed conference room. So you see that there is a conference room called Erlang, and with this ID. So based on that, you can say, okay, I'm interested in Erlang, so this is the room I may want to join. And you can even get more information by sending Disco info on that chat room itself, and you will see a part of the configuration of the chat room, so the data that are exposed in public. And you even see the number of occupants. This is handy if you want to render a user interface for showing the number of people inside the chat room. And you can see that it's a public MOOC. It's temporary, so when all the last people leave, it will be destroyed and so on. So you can see the characteristics of the MOOC. And you can even do a disco of items, and you can see who is in the room even without joining it. So this is also very handy because it limits the traffic. You don't have to see join and then leave and broadcast a lot of traffic to be able to know, to pick who is in the room. So that's very handy. So the next iteration of the specification,
Can all people see that you try to look into the room to see who's there?
No, but this is only for public room that are publicly listed and exposed. That's not for all the type of room. So the next iteration of the specification is about team collaboration. And as you see, as it can be annoying to have people discover your room and see who is in there and so on. You can restrict the room in many ways. So I illustrated a few of them, but you can say configure the room to not appear in the list of public rooms. So you have to know the ID of the room to be able to join it. You can make the room password protected. You can also, if you prefer, you can make the room member only, explicitly put the Ejabberd ID, the JID of the people that are allowed to join the MOOC room. Or you can, so by default, a MOOC room is semi-anonymous, meaning that a normal user will only see, so I will get back a bit, because when you join the room, here you say, I send my presence to the room, and here you put a resource, which is actually your nickname, the nickname you're using in the conference room. So when you join the room, if the room is semi-anonymous, here I see my my Ejabberd ID because I'm an admin of the room. But if I'm not owner of the room, the other people will not see my Ejabberd ID, my real Ejabberd ID, and all they will see is my nickname. So here, here, if you limit, if you say I want to expose the JID, you make sure that you can know all user can know the Jabber or the real Jabber ID of the user that joined the room. So it means that even if I join a room saying I'm Mickaël, I may not be Michael. So that way, in a teamwork, it may make sure that you cannot fake being someone else by choosing the nickname of someone else. So this is something that can be important for teamwork and collaboration. And when you have that also, is that you can get the avatar of the person, because Merc room avatar are based on the vCard, and the vCard is attached to a specific user real GID, and you need to know the GID of the user to query the Merc room and know the avatar. So this is also a way to expose your pictures in the user interface. So this is kind of forms. I mentioned forms before. This is the kind of form you have to configure your Merc room. So yes, basically you field, you can configure it. So when you want to configure it, the client will query the server and get the form to fill in with the current values, and you can change them and submit the form to change the configuration. So it can be handled with the automatically auto-generated UI and so on, depending on what kind of feature the server does support. So one of the problem with Merc room was, especially for teamwork, was history. When you join a room in an IRC-like mode, it's basically you get the last 10 or last 20 messages, but you're not supposed to get the whole history and everything you have missed since you last left. So how do you get the whole history of the Merc room? And there is a new specification in XMPP which is called Message Archive Management, which is called MAM, and which basically does that. It's the role of the Message Archive Management service is to archive messages and to be able to let user retrieve messages from the archive if they have the right to do so. And since Ejabberd, since September, Ejabberd support also message archive management, not only for one-to-one conversation, but for Merc as well. So you can query a given room for its archive, and you will be able to interact with them, retrieve messages from the archive, and so on. So this is solving a big problem around Merc, is that messages were not persistent previously, now they are. So it's
for 2 months.
Yes.
2 months feature.
Yes. So this is what was a big missing feature, because basically before you had basically you were supposed to enable logs and get to a page with the HTML log of the Merc history, but it was a bit broken in the sense that it could not be integrated in the client. And we had custom specification for that, storing in the database, and you could render it differently. But
so it's available for one-to-one chat or to
yes, well, yes, you can query a conversation with one of your contacts or for a given chat room.
So yeah, I had a question regarding MAM. So when you do a one-to-one chat in the database, if you are storing messages, for each message you get 2 entries, right? You get the talking user entry and your entry. How does this reflect that when you have multiple like a Merc room? How does it store in the database?
Actually, you don't really have 2 entries. You have 2 entries if the user are on the same server. If you're talking to a user which is on another server, you have 1 entry. Yep. So first thing, so there is a good reason there is 2 entry, because there is your chat and your other party chat. And for that, it's not the message, it's not related to the user itself, it's related to the Merc. So only the Merc message are archived that are posted to the Merc, not the broadcast itself. Right. So you have only 1 message for the Merc room. So yes, I agree. This was a big missing point, and it was just specified when we implemented it in the summer. We even found errors in the specification, and we helped improve the specification. So we were basically the first one to implement that specification and solve the issue. So for online event, basically the goal of the specification and the improvement is how to scale a mock room to a very large number of users, and moderation. Moderation is a bit different to what you may expect regarding moderation, but I will get into that into more details. So, as you see, as I said, mock rooms are presence-based. So to join a mock, you have to send a presence, and to leave a mock, you have to send a presence to say that you're unavailable. And when you send a present, it's broadcasted to the other occupant of the mock. So it means that each time a user joins, all the presents will be broadcasted to the other user. If you change his present status, it will be broadcasted. So if you have 10,000, 20,000 users in a group chat, you see that the traffic gets enormous. Each time someone joins, 10,000 messages, presence packet. Each time they leave, and if you have multiple people joining to say, oh, well, is it nice there, and leaving, and so on, you can have several tens of presence packet broadcasted per second very easily if you want to do a large scale moderated online event chat. So you solve that problem, but I've seen that when preparing this talk, I was reading again the specification, and I've seen that this is something they added actually in the specification. The feature to limit the broadcast of the presence were added in the specification in a way that if you enable a configuration for a mock room and make mock room config moderated room, you can have another option in the room, which is mock room config present broadcast. And it will let you know that you may not want visitors to have their presence broadcasted. So you will have members, participants, and so on have their presence broadcasted. So the star of the show will be seen as online in the room. Other people helping with moderation and so on will be seen in the room. But all the visitors will not see each other. So present is still used, but not for join and leave, but it's not broadcasted. And it's considerably reduced the amount of traffic that is needed for just for the housekeeping of the mock room. And for moderated room as well, you have a feature which is called voice. So the moderation is not, each message is not moderated one by one. It's just that you may grant voice to someone at some point or remove voice to someone at some point. Yeah, so allow someone or remove right to send messages. So you can, yes, moderate that way. Because for some customers, in the past, we have been doing kind of moderated chat room in the sense that every message is moderated. And honestly, it's very hard to manage. They wanted to do that because it was for political chat and make sure that no 8 messages, for example, would get through. But it's really, you have to have a lot of people just to moderate the message, read them, and approve them one by one. So that's a lot of work. So that's a nice in between, and this is also a part of the XMPP specification.
But when you're in a room, normally you can see people who are in the room.
Yes, that's the default.
The point is big rooms.
Yes, big rooms.
By the way, your clients won't be able to show everyone.
Yes, exactly.
It's not used to send 10,000 presents to a client.
Yes, exactly.
So you see nobody in this kind of rooms?
No, you can see you say, okay, config present broadcast, you're saying.
Those who are on the voice?
we're saying which type of user will have their presence broadcasted. So you can say only members and participants and not visitors will see their presence broadcasted. So you still see the start of the show or the guests, but you don't see other public attendance. And the last point about mock is for mobile group conversations. So I think, as I mentioned, with the rise of mobile chat, you want to have group conversation. One-to-one is not enough. You want to have several friends, send pictures to your friend, and so on. And mock chat room group chat was not designed for persistent conversation. It was designed, by design, it was designed to be transient. You join, you leave. When you leave, the mock room service leave you alone, and so on. So, and you're not with mobile group chat. You don't want to lose messages, because if your friend is organizing a party, you don't want to miss that, and you want to not know about that. So, access to archive is solving the problem regarding the fact that you need to get all the messages. The status, the rich status, the mood, the tune that you're listening can be exposed by making the room non-anonymous, so you can know the real Ejabberd ID of the user and get information about him. But there is one problem, is that it's still presence-based, and when you leave, you don't have message. You don't receive a message anymore. And on iOS, you can stay online for 3 minutes. So if you close your app, 3 minutes after that, your app is suspended and you're not connected to the XMPP server anymore. So you need to rely on push notification to receive messaging from the room, but you cannot because you're supposed to be offline. So you have on our server, you have a way to maintain the session for a longer time. We have a way to say, okay, my session for mobile, I want to keep my session for 1 hour, so it will avoid when you're constantly switching back and forth your mobile client. You will reattach to an existing session that is kept until the timeout expires. But still, when the timeouts expire, you're offline and you don't get any more message regarding the room. So what we did, we designed something recently to solve that issue. And basically what we do is that we leverage membership. So there is something in the specification which is called membership, and which allows you to register your nickname so that no one else can use the same nickname that you're using in that chat room. And strangely, membership is only used for that in the whole specification. What we propose to do is to leverage membership which is a way to have a permanent status in the room, your nickname, to attach more stuff to that membership. And the stuff that we propose to attach is a forward Ejabberd ID and a forward format. So when you define that, it means that if you're not currently an occupant of the room, you want the messages sent to the room, send to your forward GID. And this is the format that will be used for the standard. What it means is that if you say, okay, my forward GID is my ID on a service which is responsible for sending push notification, it means that each time you're not in the room and are supposed to receive a message, you will receive it through a proxy service, which is your forward GID, and with that forward GID, which is unique to you, the forward service will know how to send you a push notification. So that's a way to keep the link with the chat room and keep the conversation going. So that's something we will be implementing in Ejabberd very, very soon. So we have been through a lot of design for that, and this is the one we are happy with. So I think I won't get into the detail of that. It was, kind of example now to write plugin for chat rooms with API hooks, but we will get later into the API. PubSub, Christophe will talk about it. Mostly it's about broadcasting news, monitoring, broadcasting monitoring information, metrics, figures, and Internet of Things like figures from sensor and so on. I will publish the slides, but I won't get into the detail because Christophe will explain you that. And conclusion is just that, as you've seen, I don't see any major roadblock in XMPP to implement a messaging today. The last problem that remained, we think we solved it. So we solved it in the past in custom way, but we're very happy in what we propose now, and we're convinced that this should be getting into the official specification. So you have a very scalable server that you can use and tune and optimize for scalability, and you have all the scope of feature needed for corporate chatting, team chatting, collaboration, mobile messaging. So you have everything in place to build the service you dream about. So that's it for my talk.